This is in the way. Not sure how to prevent that from being in the view of the. I guess it doesn't matter if you see that. I can put over just over here. There we go. All right. I feel like I'm too close here and too far over there. Let me just see here. We can adjust this a little bit. That gives a good view. And this does not give a good view. Hang on. Just adjusting all of the electronics and things, making sure all the cameras are pointed in the right direction so that you see exactly what you want to see and you don't see what you don't want to see. So what about what we're sewing? The cord out of the way. All right. So this evening, welcome. I am live here on TikTok and live on YouTube. So welcome everyone. We are going to sew the Possibilities quilt. So let me see if I can find the front page, the front cover, wherever it is. Where did it go? Maybe I've lost it. For good. I have no idea where it went. It might be here. No. Where did I put it? Oh well, I don't know where it went. Let me just check again. Oh, here it is. So this is the Possibilities quilt, and it's a Charisma Horton pattern, and it has some gentle foundation paper piecing and then some traditional piecing. So today, with block 4, month 4, we started this in January. We've made a couple of blocks. You can't see them, but we've made a couple of different star blocks. And tonight we're going to make some more star blocks, which is obviously very exciting. So if you're sewing along, grab your fabric, which I hope you have cut. I cut mine a couple nights ago in preparation for the class. This again is on YouTube and it is live. I don't edit my YouTube either. So you'll see exactly what we're doing here. And sorry, just my camera's a little wonky. It's a little, there we go. You will see exactly the same thing, different angle. But other than that, this the TikTok camera is a little smaller than the one for YouTube. So you can watch either places on YouTube or Quilts for Survivors. And here we are, the quilter with the heart of gold. All right, I am looking, there we go, for something to clean my glasses. Oh my gosh. I think that's the only thing that really bugs me about glasses is that they're dirty. I'd like to be able to see without having to clean my glasses. All right, I have a bunch of messages. Okay, I will have to check those. All right. So this is a paid pattern, so I can't give you any of the cutting instructions because it is a paid pattern. Good evening. But you can buy the pattern and sew along. So just so you know, this is more of a not so much a class, but more of an instructional video. This is how I'm sewing this particular quilt, and then you can join in. Right? So the first thing we're going to do is we have all of our pieces. So most of our pieces are the same size. These ones are a little smaller, but most of them are the same size. And we're going to get started sewing these together. So the first thing we're going to do, excuse me, is take our larger of the dark blue, our medium dark blue fabric, and then we're going to take our pink, orange, and what's the other color? Teal. Where's my teal blocks? I know I cut them. Where did they go? Oh, these are the teal blocks. Sorry. Okay, so we're going to take our teal, our medium red, and our orange. And I find it hard to like distinguish between medium dark for like a red, so it's not a purple. It's hard. I find it hard anyways. And a lot of this I used because I had scraps. So what we're going to do is you're going to pair the squares with the medium dark blue larger of the right size together and sew 1/4 inch on each side of the line. So you can draw the diagonal line and then sew on both sides of that line. Or these are a little larger. If they're a little smaller, I wouldn't bother drawing any lines. I would just, I had a pencil handy. Oh, here it is. I'm just gonna move my tray out of the way. I use this 1/2 inch ruler from Creative Grids. I really should look up what this is called. And then I'm gonna just draw. The dark blue or the medium dark blue is kind of dark, so I'm gonna use the other colors to draw my lines on. So now instead of drawing the line from corner to corner diagonally and stitching on both sides, this draws the stitch line. So it's even more accurate. You just sew on the line, which makes life a little easier. So let's do that to all of these. Now these are all solids. And sometimes with our solids, it's hard to tell if they are right or wrong side because they're solid. Sometimes you can tell, or I feel like one side looks a little clearer than the other. But you may not be able to tell, and that's okay. I feel like I cut too many of those. Maybe I need some for something else. Okay. It said I only needed 6. Maybe I cut more than I needed. Maybe I cut 8 because I probably had my fabric folded and got a few extra, which is fine. It looks like that's what I did. Well, I think I put both teals here. Right. So what we're making is some half square triangles. We are making, I think I showed you, I can't show you all the instructions, but they're making a little, there's a couple of different names for them, but one name I know is a friendship star. So there's quilt blocks have multiple names, but that's essentially what they're called. We are going to sew probably, I don't know yet, but I'm thinking Monday maybe. We will sew either Monday or Friday. We're going to sew. Depends on where everybody is. Because I do have young children and then I have a partner. And it depends on what day. I think it'll be Monday, though, is what I'm thinking. Because he's pretty sure he works Monday. And then I can, not that I can't, so it's here. But it looks like Monday will be the day that we're sewing. And then the kids aren't here either. And we're going to sew block 3 of the Dreamcatcher sew along. So now what we're going to do is now remember I drew the stitch lines. So you can also draw the line from corner to corner and then draw another line 1/4 inch away on both sides. That's what I know some of our, like my daughter, that's how she does it. And you can choose to do it that way. It's definitely more accurate. And I did cut my block to the whole sides, not to the 7/8. I cut it right up a little, I cut it a little bigger. Because trying to cut 7/8, that's hard. And then you just have to square them up anyways to, does it tell you what to square them up to? Oh yeah. Dark blue, right sides together, cut on the mark line, make 4 each in each color combination. And then those are, you just square them to the size of the other block. These won't take us very long, and I'm going to make all 3 of them because I don't think it will take very long. I was thinking of prepping one ahead of time, but they're pretty simplistic. So I thought, why not just make them all? I always or almost always chain pleats if I'm not foundation paper basic. Seems to be just kind of the way I sew. And I really enjoy that. And then we're just going to take the whole lot, rotate it, and sew down the other side. I have an open toe foot. I can see where I'm sewing. This is a 1/4 inch foot, but it has a place where I can see. And of course, I have my diagonal seam tape help me because I've drawn the line. I'm just focusing on the line. I did cut it to the whole size. So right to the, what? I thought I read something. The kids have gone to bed. Excuse me. I have a lot of bobbins done, but I think I have an extra bobbin. But you'll have to change my bobbin. But show now to sew that. Okay, so I do have a bobbin minder. I think that's what it's called, bobbin minder. Lets you know when your bobbin is getting low. I think this is my last bobbin. So there's just a little bit left on there. Oops. I don't want to lose my bobbin. Oh, there's a little bit more than I thought. Okay. Oops. Okay, so we'll throw that little bit away. I should have checked. I could have sewed a little bit more before I had to, but that's okay. Better to be safe than sorry. All right, so now we're going to cut these apart. Okay. I think you can see. Oh, yeah, I think so. Yep. There we go. Okay. So cutting them apart where our pieces were together. I do have my iron on it, nice and it's preheated, it's nice and hot. We're going to cut these in half now. If you drew that diagonal line from corner to corner, you can cut right on that line. If you didn't, you can put your 1/4 inch line on one of your sleeves and then just, because then it'll be the center of those two. This one got a little big. I can tell that the seam, I cut it a little bit. I'm just going to trim it down. It's a little large. You could just tell. It's because I cut the other one a little short. But I mean, it doesn't have to be perfect, exact, because the seam's already there. There we go. And one more. So we're going to make our stars using these HSTs. No foundation paper piecing this month. Now, it doesn't tell you how to press them. So you can choose how you want to press them based on the fabric that you're using. I'm using similar colors to what's asked based on what was in my stash. So some of these are, they are Kona solids. Some of them are, and some of them are from, they are they? Random, some Northcott fabrics and some other fabrics from Fabricland. So I don't know if I could actually find these again. I have no idea. So I can't give you all the names of the colors or where I got them from. I'm going to press everything to the blue, the dark, medium dark blue, as it's called in the pattern. And she doesn't, I don't think she gave any specifications on what fabric to use. Like, if you use this fabric, this is the color. And I just kind of based it off of what I had in my stash and then what was recommended in the pattern. And I figured it would be easier, excuse me, if I just kept most things the same. Not because I wanted to look like hers, but it's easier to sew along if your colors kind of match. If I got really wonky, I don't know. Because she doesn't call it by name. She calls it by the color, not by the fabric 3. So I just thought that would be easier for my brain. And less thought. Like, I don't want to pick all these colors. Okay, so now we're going to trim them. You're going to trim them to the size you cut the smaller, medium, dark blue blocks. Again, I can't give you the size because it's not my pattern, but we can cut them up. So I always use a ruler that has a 45-degree line on it. You can kind of see that. I think you can see that. There, you can see it. And I lay that on my seam here. And then let's get our rotating mat. And I cut accordingly. So I am glad that I cut them slightly bigger because there isn't a lot of room to wiggle. And maybe that's why she did it, was so that you could just cut the tips off. Just cut those, just cut those little nubs off. Maybe that's all she wanted. I don't know. But we do need to trim up every single one. Now this one has a little bit more to trim off than that one. Oops. This is moving on me. My rotary blade might be getting dull again. That's what happened last time when I slid around too much because my rotary blade was dead. Is it sharp? Well, we'll cut a couple, and if it's difficult, then I will change my blade because that's just easier. All right, I think you guys can see okay. It looks like it. All right, and again, this is being recorded on our YouTube channel as well. So if you missed any of it, or you're sewing along, you're just not sewing along tonight, you can check it out. So I hope you're having a great time, a good day, that you've done something today that brings you joy. I try to do something every day that brings me joy. And I can't avoid the things that maybe are not the most fun to do, but I can definitely make time for things that bring me joy. And I was going to start a little earlier tonight, so I apologize for coming on a little later than I had planned. Dinner ran a little bit late, which means everything else ran a little bit late. Not that we have a set time to eat dinner, because we don't really. We just kind of are like, well, we eat between 5 and 6, you know? So that's when we eat. I think that trimmed that trim yet. Okay, that one was a little bit wonky, but it should be fine. Actually, I'll just lay it there. So we're going to make one star with the medium red, whatever you consider medium red. Then we are going to make one with the teal. And again, I use what I had in my stash that looked like teal. And then we're going to make an orange one. So that's kind of cool. I think those are all great colors. So this is a 12-month, I'll move it because I couldn't tell where I cut. A 12-month block of the month, and it's all laid out. It's laid out as a block of the month. So I bought the pattern because I thought it looked really cool. And then I thought, you know what? I'm going to do this as a sew along. I'm going to sew along with all of you and give you some tidbits on how I do it. And that's more what this little sew along is. This is how I'm sewing it. If it works for you, great. If you can find a better way to do it or a different way to do it that works for you, I'm all for that. I'm a firm believer in the work smarter, not harder. I moved. You know, if you can eliminate a step, or if you need a step to get even more accurate, then do that. And that's where I use that little ruler and I cut my blocks a little bigger, so that I could be even more accurate. Okay. I hope that helps everyone. But there's no right or wrong way to do this. I never feel like there is a right and a wrong way to do this. Okay, so never feel like you have to sacrifice. Never. Never feel that way. Okay. Now I could have switched out this blue for purple, actually. That would have been fun. But again, I just didn't want to overcomplicate it for myself. I have no idea what I'm doing with this quilt when it's done, but it's definitely a nice quilt to make. Oops. That didn't totally cut off. I said I would change my blade, but I think it's just, I don't know what it is that does that. All right. One more to trim. And again, we're trimming these to the size of the smaller blue squares that we cut for our background, from our background, sorry, which is the medium blue. I think we're good. Okay, there we go. So we have done all the prepping. Now we just have to sew our line patches together. Really is all we have to do. This month is super easy. Some of our other months have been a little bit more work, a little bit more complicated. This is easier and less complicated. So that's always a good sign. These finish at 12.5 by 12.5. Sorry, they're unfinished at 12.5 by 12.5. I'm just putting some rulers away simply because they were sitting here and I don't want them to fall on the floor. That's how I've damaged a couple of corners on some of my rulers, was because they fell on the floor. So the orange one and the red one get a green in the center. So we're going to lay these out. I'm going to load 2 of them. I'll save the blue teal one for later because that gets the, yellow in the center. There we go. All right. So we are going to take our red and I'm really looking at the pattern to make sure that I lay it out the way it's supposed to be laid out. I don't want to mess it up. So I'm really watching for that because it doesn't come out the right way if you don't lay it out the right way. This is one of those patterns where you really needed to lay a certain way. Actually, I think I'll just lay one out. I don't know, maybe I can get 2. I don't know if I'm going to 3. And then you're going to take I might have cut too many of these as well. I don't know though. I don't remember. You're going to take your blocks and you're going to lay them down. I think this color is called Smurf. So there's my block, and they're all the same way. Do I have room? I don't really have room to lay out the other one, so I'll just sew this one together first. So we're going to do this medium red color. Now it's just an eye patch, so we're just going to sew it the same way we sew all 9 patches. Remember, right sides together, 1/4-inch seam, making sure everything lines up, and just doing our best to be as accurate as possible. That one, checking to make sure that we don't. Sometimes when you move it from here to this machine, you can kind of get things twisted around. We don't want that, obviously. So now let's take the green again, put our blues in the corner. Hang on. I'm going to make the other one now. I know you can't see all of it, but you can see most of it. And then again, watching to make sure that I lay out all of my star pieces the right way. If this confuses you, you do it how you want to do it. You do one at a time. I could have sewed a little end piece or something, like a leader, an ender. Just cutting that off, it's just a thread. There we go. So there's my second star, the orange one. Now I can start to sew that one. And then I don't have to cut my threads. But again, I could have just put a scrap through it. Or I could have cut my threads. I just don't like to. I don't have to. All right. Bring it out. Having it look really nice. One more set. Again, these just become 9 patches. We just have to make sure that we don't mess it up. I feel like, no, that's right. Okay. For a second there, I thought, oh, I had turned it. Quarter-inch seam. I'm using, this is a Husqvarna Viking Brilliance 75Q. That's what I sew with. And I use Aurifil thread. It is worth buying a more expensive thread. I've always sewn with a good quality thread. It prevents any rippage. It prevents, the thread doesn't break as much, and it doesn't make that much lint in my machine. Okay. So there we go. And I've mentioned this a few times, but I'll mention it again. These little threads that hold it together when you're chain piecing, you can cut those anytime you want. I cut them if they get in my way, because I think it's just annoying. And if they're preventing me from nesting my seams or things lining up accurately, then I just cut them. They're only there to help, not to hinder. So we don't want to do that. Okay, so if you're just joining us, good evening. We are sewing the Possibilities Quilt by Charisma Horton. It is an older pattern, but you can still get it. You can get it the PDF download, so instant download. It is a large pattern. So you will want to print it out at least at some point. At least I need it printed out. I don't know. Maybe you don't. Okay. So we're gonna sew this one. Right. So now we're going to open this up and we're going to make sure that everything's going the way. Oops, see, that's twisted. So instead of worrying about it, I'm just going to just the threads, making sure I don't cut the actual block. Right? I don't want to cut my pattern, which is just over here, and make sure that all of my star legs are going the right way. And they are, and it looks beautiful, isn't that? Those are really nice colors. And again, a lot of these colors are simply from my stash. So it's a great way to use up one's stash. Definitely a great way to do that. Just cut that thread there. That's super, super annoying. Just easier. I can get it to nest better. Which is what we want. Okay. I'm gonna cut the other one off here. We're gonna open it up and we're just gonna sew it together. Now I haven't pressed anything. I find at this stage it's just easier to just let it go the way it wants to go. 1/4 inch seam, always a 1/4 inch seam. I'll just cut that thread. Sometimes it wants to just go a certain way. Which is perfectly fine. That way. Yes. There we go. Hopefully that's nice and nice. I could have pinned, I could have pressed. I just chose not to. So there's no right or wrong here. You do what works for you. Just seeing if there's comments. So welcome everyone. Again, sewing block 4 of the Possibilities quilt. And it is recorded on YouTube. So you can watch it there, should you choose to. All right. And I like to press to one side. That's what I like to do. You do what works for you. How did that one go now? This way, okay. I think just getting the block as flat as I can really helps. It helps with adding all these blocks together, and it helps it lay nice and flat, all your seams. And then it also helps with long arming after. So let's lay out one more final block. This one has a yellow center. This is the teal one. So just like that. And then again, ensuring that I have my star points all going the right direction. This is either a 4-point star, I think is one of the names, and the other name is Friendship Star. And there's lots of blocks, lots of quilt blocks, and they have similar names. So there we go. Is that one's really pretty too, and they match up nice. And again, some of these fabrics, I think this is from Fabricland. I've had it for a few years, maybe even a decade or more. I've had it for a while. For a while. So there we go. We are starting to make progress in our quilt. We have 4 blocks down, 4 different blocks. Each month you make, I think I've made 3 and I've made 4 and I've made 8, I think. I'm getting a little tired, but I didn't want to not come on because I had promised to come on. I did say I would try to come on for 7. That didn't work out, which is fine. So it's all good. Have some other, personal things to do. But we're here and we are stitching along. All right. Okay. So now, what is this? Oh, this is the yellow one. Okay. I was like, what is this? This isn't done. This one's done. We have to press it. So I'm not going to show you yet. I'm going to press. Hi to, sorry, I don't see your name. So much more. Oh, cool. I like that. Hi. I am sewing the Possibilities quilt block 4, month 4. Block 4 by Charisma. And I also put this on my YouTube channel. Or if you're on YouTube, I also have it on my TikTok. I don't think there's anybody on YouTube. If you're on, I don't see you. That's okay. We're trying to get 10,000 followers this year by the end of this year on our YouTube channel. So if you can join, that would be greatly appreciated. Oh, hi, Daphne. All right. I think I forget that that's you. Right. Okay, so now I don't have anything to sew. I have some scraps. You should just one day just sew them all. Okay, that one needs to be pressed too. We're going to press them all at the end. Keep it simple. Okay. I did teach a class this morning. We were doing a block of the month. That's free to join as well. The pattern's free. So you can check that out. I think I did a little clip. I don't have the whole video and I wasn't able to get on YouTube because I I just wasn't able to. I didn't have two cameras. There we go. Just lining everything up. It's more important that things nest in the center where they need to than that your ends match up. If you can hide that little whoopsies, in your seam allowance. That's so two of these. I have too many of them, and I'm just going to make more. So we need to keep rid of them. Because I have this whole thing full of them. I need to get rid of them. All right. Where's mine? There we go. Toss that aside. We're going to open that up and we're going to sew the other side. I've also done my first quilt. Oh, congratulations. That's awesome. That's quite an achievement for sure. It's a lot of work to get your first quilt done. Is the quilt completely finished or is it just the top? You have batting and did your binding and all of that? Or some people call it a flimsy. That's great. Good for you. I know I don't remember how I felt when I finished my first quilt. I was 9 years old. I do not remember. But I must have cherished it. I kept it safe in a box until my kids were born. So I must have thought it was something great. Almost 40 years ago. My goodness. Time definitely flies. Okay. So I like to separate them. I could leave them together. Let's get rid of those. We sandwiched it and adhesive sprayed it. I just need to sew everything together and do the binding. Well, very cool. There's lots of different ways to just sew it together. That's great. And are they teaching you how to do that or do you just do that on your own? And are they teaching you how to bind it? Okay, so there's one. Look at that beautiful block. Look at how nice that is. And if you need any help, you know where I am. So at the studio. And I can do evenings too if I have enough people. There's always some people who want to come in the evenings, but I don't want to open it up and I've done this where I've had the studio open and nobody comes. Nobody comes. And that's frustrating because I was getting sitters and things. Okay, there's the other one. I really like these two colors together. Like, holy man, those were meant to be together. Okay, and then the orange. Oh, the orange looks good too with the green, but this is a really neat color combination. I really like that. I don't know what color this is because it was in my stash. I had gone on I was where I was just buying a lot of solids to mix and match with all my quilt patterns and things. So there you go. Possibilities quilt month 4 done. Just like that. That didn't even take me an hour. Super fun and easy. We're going to go with my other blocks, which I'll show you in a second. My course is done. They showed me how to bind it and all that. Okay. I want to learn how to long arm so bad. Excuse me. I do teach long arming classes. They're $65. and you learn on our quilts. So you're taught on our quilts at the studio. And then when you come in to volunteer, you can also volunteer to long arm. I think the hardest part of long arming is loading the quilt. And I know that sounds crazy. We do a lot of free motion quilting. Um, and then um, just getting comfortable. But even just doing like meander or loops and swirls, you just have to be okay with it not looking so great. When you think about like when you learned how to do your alphabet, now you probably have improved your handwriting and you have beautiful penmanship, but back then your penmanship probably wasn't that great. So it just takes a while to get it. And I love that. I think it's great that you can practice on the Quilts for Survivors quilt tops, because then you don't have to look at it. And when you're ready to do your own quilt, then you have a little bit more experience and you feel like you like the way that you long arm. And everyone long arms a little bit differently. And I've really improved over the um, 4 years that I've been long arming. And I don't long arm every day. Wish I did. I should. I should just load a quilt and do one every day, but I don't always make the time to do that. And today I taught a class, so that eliminates, I did load the long arm for a volunteer and he got 2 done in about, I think he was there for a little over an hour and he got 2 done. So that's really cool. So, but again, they're Quilts for Survivors. That's what our long arms are for. That's what we use them for. But it's super fun and it's a great way to learn. And I mean, not everyone can afford to pay a long armor or buy a long arm. So it's a great way to learn something. And you can free motion on your machine, but definitely moving the machine is easier than moving the fabric for sure. Would you teach me one-on-one? My schedule is busy at work and can't do like 3 days in a row. No, that's fine. Yes, we can offer. You will finish a quilt in the time allotted. It depends. But we can for sure. We just have to arrange a time to do that. So let me know. My schedule is pretty, gets pretty jam-packed as well, but we can definitely arrange a time to do that. And of course, you have to come to the studio because it's for the long arms. Okay, so this is month 4, all done. This was last month 3. So here's some of the color combos that I have. I think they look really cute. This is actually a dark green. It's a hunter green. It's hard to tell, but that's what it is. This is that was um, month 3, I guess. And then this was month 2. I think these were month 2. Yeah. I think. I don't know. And then where's month 1? Those were all month 2. I don't know. I feel like I'm missing a month. Hang on. I'll go check in my room. Because I don't have them moved. This actually might be month. This might be month 3. This one might be month 3. I'm not sure. I don't actually remember what month this is, but there's another set of blocks, so they're super cute. So super cute. Everything is just so super cute. So there we go. All done. So that's what we've done so far. So how it works is the center, of the quilt is blue background. Or if you choose a different color, but so you can see it here. Isn't that pretty? And then you've got purple here, purple in here, purple in the corners. And you have a funky little block down there, which I don't think we've made that yet. So there you go. That is the quilt that we're working on. It'll be super fun when it's done. And I love it. So there's our block for this month. Thank you for joining me. Woohoo! I'm going to actually turn off the YouTube. So thank you for joining. Miigwech.